Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following. Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters, with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Communications, serving Southern Indiana with high-speed fiber gigabit internet. Smithville Fiber Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana News Desk, the Indianapolis VA faces further federal review. Ahead, what some patients are saying about the care they receive at Raudebusch.
I know there's a lot of controversy right now, but there is good at the VA. A lot of it, a lot of good.
The latest on the investigation and why some Indiana legislators are calling for the FBI to get involved. 8 county homes or poor farms top the list of endangered landmarks in Indiana. They're in various stages of disrepair. Is it possible to save them, and do people want to?
All county homes. They represent a part of the county's history, Indiana's history, that we often want to sort of gloss over.
And in this week's headlines, a local mayor faces increased scrutiny about whether his office used tax money inappropriately. Those stories and more right now on Indiana News Desk. Hello, I'm Joe Wren, and welcome to Indiana News Desk. The Veterans Affairs Hospital in Indianapolis is among those tagged for further review after an initial audit last month. Officials initiated a full-scale national investigation following claims of long wait times and falsified records at VA hospitals around the country. Indianapolis Raudebusch VA Medical Center made the list released this week of 81 hospitals and 31 clinics that are now receiving additional inspection. Sarah Whitmire reports that while some are calling the situation an outrage, others say they have no complaints about Indiana's VA.
When Ronald Mays graduated in 1967, he expected to get drafted.
Back in those days, you pretty much figured you was going to get a one-way ticket to Vietnam.
Mays spent a year in Vietnam. He was exposed to Agent Orange and suffers from a variety of health problems. Last year, he had a tumor removed. It was cancer. 10 rounds of chemotherapy, 17 radiation treatments, and surgery. And now Mays says he's doing okay. He credits the Raudebusch VA Hospital in Indianapolis for his recovery.
They took care of me. No complaints. I mean, it was just, they done everything very quickly and got me going before the cancer had a chance to get going.
Mays has been using the VA for all of his medical services for more than a decade and says he doesn't hear many complaints from people. But according to results of the internal audit released this week, the average wait time for a new primary care patient at Raudebusch is about 54 days. That ranks it among the worst in the country. Now, it's important to note that once a patient is in the system, it typically takes them less than 3 days to get an appointment. It's unclear why the facility was tagged for further review and if it has something to do with the wait times. The audit looked at these main questions. Do frontline staff receive appropriate training and supervision on scheduling practices? Do frontline staff members exhibit the proper understanding of scheduling? Do frontline staff members receive instruction to modify dates when a veteran wants to be seen? What are the main barriers and challenges staff members face in offering veterans timely access to care? And do they feel personally capable of delivering high-quality service?
Even though I don't live in Indianapolis, there are still, I'm sure, veterans that woke up this morning and said, oh my gosh, well, I wonder if I'm getting fair treatment. I wonder if I'm getting legit treatment. I wonder if I'm even on the waiting list. These are questions that are around the country, so we all take it pretty seriously that we want answers to what's happening in our state.
I associate myself with the comments of everybody on this committee.
Volorsky is on the House Committee on Veterans Affairs. At a committee meeting this week, she called on the Department of Justice to investigate whether there's criminal activity involved.
I guess the two things that, I came away with 2 weeks ago was this. There has to be a criminal investigation, and to know that there are 69 criminal investigations going on tonight, I think is breaking news to the American public. And I agree. Indianapolis and Danville, Indiana are on your list for further investigations. My Hoosiers in state of Indiana are going to ask the same questions. Well, what do I do? Well, when are we going to get the information? And I guess I'll take it on the record that we're going to get information when you get it.
I want that clean seal of approval. I want Hoosiers to know that they can trust, the facility in Indiana, and that, they should have no reason to worry, and their family members should have no reason to worry. But, I want those reports to make sure that's clear.
A spokesperson for the Roudebush VA Medical Center told the Indy Star it was a surprise that the center was flagged for further review. We're not sure why we're on the list with the other 80 medical centers, the spokesperson said. VA officials won't say whether Roudebush is one of the 69 facilities being investigated for criminal activity. Jim Brown is the Indiana Director of Veterans Affairs. He says his office supports what the VA hospital does because it's, quote, well managed.
And we work rather than throw rocks at them and criticize them, because then you don't have a good communication.
While releasing the audit this week, the interim head of the VA also outlined a number of reforms, including removing the 14-day scheduling goal, establishing accountability systems, enacting a hiring freeze, increasing medical staffing, and creating a new patient satisfaction measurement. Back at his home in Brown County, Ronald Mays says he's sure there are some things the VA can improve upon. After all, the VA serves more than 9 million veterans across the country. But Mays says for him and his needs, the VA is doing a good job.
Yeah, I got some problems. My ears are very bad from the incoming and outgoing. I have PTSD, they tell me. Didn't know I did until my vet rep asked me about it. And then I got the cancer. But it's just, you take one day at a time. Thank God for what you got. Thank God for the great country you live in. Thank God for the wonderful VA that's taking care of me today.
The FBI is now involved in the VA review in Phoenix, but it's unclear whether that investigation will expand to other facilities. Members of Congress, including Wolorsky and Senator Dan Coates, continue to push for the Justice Department to launch a full-scale criminal investigation. Now we go over to Alex Dirkman for a look at this week's top stories.
Thank you, Joe. The Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles is asking a judge to reconsider his ruling that would force the agency to reinstate the personalized license plate program. The BMV suspended personalized plates in July of 2013 after the ACLU of Indiana filed a lawsuit challenging what they said was the arbitrary method of approving or denying plates. There have been cases where the BMV has approved plates that read Go Bama, for example, but denied plates that read No Bama. A judge last month ordered the BMV to reinstate the program and create clearer standards for how it issues personalized plates. In a statement, a BMV commissioner said the judge's ruling would require the BMV to issue personalized plates that contain messages offensive to one's race, religion, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation. The Terre Haute City Council is once again hiring its own financial consultant to look into the city's finances. As Jimmy Jenkins reports, some local officials and council members are questioning the way Mayor Duke Bennett is conducting city business.
The local guys know nothing.
Mayor Bennett's administration recently came under increased scrutiny after one of his department heads accused him of inappropriately using tax increment financing, or TIF funds, to cover expenses paid out of the city's general fund. The funds are typically set aside to pay for redevelopment projects. Bennett says he is merely complying with a state law that takes effect on July 1st that aims to create more oversight at the local level.
The biggest change is that the city controller is responsible for the finances, and the second piece is that they will have to submit a budget to the city council for approval.
That authority used to rest with the Department of Redevelopment, but City Councilman Neil Garrison says he worries now that the controller is in charge of the funds, the money could be used to pay other expenses like the city's payroll.
that money is taken out for a specific purpose, and it should be used for that only.
Garrison says the mayor's office also hasn't consistently provided budget information in a timely fashion, so the city is now seeking an outside financial consultant to keep tabs on the budget.
When things aren't shared with us in the right time or appear to be distorted, we thought it would be better to remember that we don't serve the mayor, we serve the elected body that puts us in office.
But Mayor Bennett says he already makes the city finances available to the council, and he doesn't believe hiring an outside consultant is necessary.
It's a little frustrating at times because we all are on the same team here and we need to be working to solve the problems, and hiring a third financial consultant isn't going to go reach any new conclusions.
Mayor Bennett says the city's financial situation is improving and they will continue to pay all their bills on time.
Changing the hearts and minds of Hoosiers, that's the goal of a new coalition which plans to advocate for same-sex marriage in Indiana. The coalition is called Hoosiers Unite for Marriage. Group leaders say they hope to use the momentum that's building both nationally and locally to change opinions. They say they aren't pushing for any legislative action at this point. Hoosier lawmakers reset the constitutional amendment ratification process this year when they removed a sentence that would have banned civil unions from a proposed amendment known as HJR 3. Lawmakers say the legislature's next move will likely be dictated by the U.S. Supreme Court. The rate of high school graduates in Indiana that are going to college is rising slightly. A report released this week from the Indiana Commission for Higher Education shows about 66% of high school graduates in Indiana went to college in 2012, compared to 64% in 2011. The number of students needing remediation classes once in college also decreased. But that number largely depends on what kind of diploma the student receives. About 93% of students that graduated with an academic honors diploma and 62% with a Core 40 diploma were deemed college ready, meaning they did not need to take remedial English or math courses. But only 22% of general diploma graduates and 18% of waiver diploma graduates were considered college ready. Indiana's economy is outperforming all its neighboring states. The federal government's Bureau of Economic Analysis says Indiana's gross domestic product rose by 2.1% last year, down from 2.5% in 2012, but still, it's leading the Bureau's Great Lakes region. The region is made up of 5 states, and Indiana's growth was narrowly ahead of Michigan's 2%, Ohio's 1.8%, the 1.7% rate in Wisconsin, and Illinois' growth of 0.9%. Indiana also grew faster than Kentucky, which saw its GDP rise by 1.6% last year. Dozens of legislators, both Republicans and Democrats from more than 30 states, gathered at the Indiana State House yesterday to lay the foundation for amending the U.S. Constitution through a state-led constitutional convention. The first gathering to discuss the possibility of a constitutional convention took place last year at George Washington's home in Mount Vernon, Virginia. Organizers say the gathering springs from concern and frustration about the federal government's overreach and dysfunction.
One of the things I think would help our country extremely and would be beneficial is to control the spending. So have a balanced budget, and you've got to control that spending too, and it can't be controlled through increased taxation because we're taxed enough already.
The Indianapolis meeting is only a first step to set rules and procedures for a potential convention, which would have to be ratified by a majority of states. Some Indiana Democrats, however, call the event a political theater that pandered to the far right. Bartholomew County officials, or Bartholomew County, is looking into requirements for concentrated animal feeding operations. Current land use standards set a minimum size for a farm with a concentrated animal feeding operation and regulate how far the operation must be from surrounding properties. Commissioners are forming a committee to determine whether those regulations are adequate. The goal, officials say, is to seek a balance between residents and business owners' interests. Residents have raised concerns about the smell, manure runoff from farms possibly contaminating groundwater sources, and potential declines in property values. Bloomington officials are moving forward with a plan to place additional requirements on what kind of businesses can locate downtown. They say it's necessary to protect the unique character of Bloomington's downtown. Some businesses continue to argue the policy is too restrictive, even after council members this week amended the original proposal to make their approval process focus more on the design of the facility rather than on what type of business it is. Council members say there are still some details to work out, but they did pass the measure unanimously. And Indiana Supreme Court Chief Justice Brent Dixon is stepping down. Dixon has been an Indiana Supreme Court justice since 1986. He became Chief Justice 2 years ago. The former Lafayette attorney was scheduled for mandatory retirement at age 75 in 2016, and Dixon says knowing his tenure was limited led him to his decision to step down. But Joe, he'll still be around. Dixon will remain on court as an Associate Justice.
All right, thank you very much, Alex.
You're welcome.
Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. The average Hoosier graduates with about $28,000 in student loans. How a national initiative designed to ease student debt will impact Indiana graduates. And county homes that housed the poor in the 1800s are falling into disrepair. Why one organization says it's important to keep them from being demolished. Those stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
Frontline provides me with information that makes me think.
First I shout at the television. You gotta be kidding!
You won't see this anywhere else.
The stories hit close to home.
Truth is a very valuable commodity.
They're uncompromising.
I want to do something. I want to take action.
It changed the way I actually live my life.
It lets me make up my mind.
I trust it. When I watch Frontline,
it makes me angry and it makes me want to voice it.
I want to make a difference.
We can make a difference.
Frontline.
These guys are my heroes.
PBS kicks off the weekends with Charlie Rose and America's top newsmakers on his new series, Charlie Rose, The Week.
Some people say, well, Obama was this raving liberal before, now he's, Dick Cheney.
Recap the week's biggest stories and Charlie's best interviews.
You feel there's this incredible synergy between the audience and the performer, and time slows down.
And get a look at the week ahead. Charlie Rose, The Week. Check local listings.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. President Obama is using his executive power to ease student debt. In an announcement Tuesday, the president said he plans to expand a program that limits how high a student's monthly debt limits can be. The so-called pay-as-you-earn program caps payments at 10% of a person's discretionary income.
It's giving graduates the opportunity to pursue the dreams that inspired them to go to school in the first place, and that's good for everybody. And we want more young people to start their own businesses. We want more young people becoming teachers and nurses and social workers. We want young people to be in a position to pursue their dreams. And we want more young people who act responsibly to be able to manage their debt over time.
The president says he also plans to renegotiate contracts with loan companies such as Sallie Mae and raise awareness of the different options students have when it comes to borrowing. To explain more about what this means for students here in Indiana, we're joined by Don Hustler with the Indiana University School of Education. He's a national expert on college access and financial aid policy. Don, thanks for being here today.
My pleasure.
Let's start off with this pay-as-you-earn program. Can you talk a little bit more about what that means?
Well, what it's intended to do is college graduates will leave school with a variety of majors and a variety of levels of debt. And particularly, I think, in this down economy right now, what it's attempting to do is for students who may have accumulated a little too much more debt than they should have, or are having difficulty finding jobs, to give them a little more breathing space in terms of the opportunity to pay back their loans, as well as avoiding putting them in a situation where they're in default on their loans.
Now, how is this different from the typical student loan?
Well, historically, student loans have been more like mortgages or cars. You take out a loan, you have 10 years to pay it back. The interest rate has been defined usually as in some relationship to the prime rate for borrowing, and it's a fixed rate loan. You have to pay it back by a certain date. If it's not paid off, you're in default. If you miss a certain number of payments, you're in default.
Now, how big of an impact do you think this program will have on student debt overall? Will it increase, decrease?
Increase. Well, I think there could be some concern that there is research. Actually, the research is not very encouraging right now in terms of the extent to which education to 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, how much they really pay attention to that. And there is some concern that if you make paying back even easier, that some people may treat financial aid like an ATM machine. On the other hand, I think for students who have accrued a substantial amount of loans, especially students in graduate school, this could make a substantial difference in terms of what they're going to be paying back each month.
Let's bring this back to Indiana. How does this program affect Indiana graduates? Is it different than other states, or is it pretty much the same across the board?
No, it's really the same across the board. And it's worth noting that the average student debt in Indiana for an undergraduate is not yet to the point where I think alarm bells should be going off.
How much is it?
The average, I think, for Indiana from the last study was just about $28,000 a year. And there are two guidelines one might use. I'll use the more straightforward one connected with this. That students should be aware of accumulating more debt than what their first year salary is going to be. So for $28,000, most college-educated graduates are going to start at $28,000 or better. So really, for the average graduate, it should not be an onerous task to pay this back.
Thank you very much for being here today. Interesting.
My pleasure.
Every year, Indiana Landmarks releases a list of what it believes to be the 10 most endangered landmarks in the state. The list marks structures that are facing imminent threats of abandonment, neglect, or deterioration. This year's list marks a group of ornately designed buildings called county homes facing destruction. Gretchen Frazee takes us to some of those homes to explain their historic significance.
Imagine it's the late 1800s. You can't find a job, you don't have relatives to provide for you, and there's no federal welfare. But there are county homes.
Those disadvantaged that found shelter here and made their residence in county homes, it was not putting them in small little buildings, nondescript. These really were sort of high style, intended to provide sort of a respectful setting for people that did not have the means to care for themselves.
The county owned the homes, also called poor farms. They housed up to 40 people who worked to maintain the property, and there was one in every Indiana county.
As federal welfare came available and the improvement in health care and care facilities, county homes have become obsolete in many instances.
Over 1/3 of Indiana's county homes were demolished and many others abandoned.
This would have represented the livestock portion of the farm. You see all of the remnants of the old pens. You see a granary in the background.
This Warren County home is built in an Italianate style. It may seem ornate for its purpose of housing the poor, but in fact, county homes were often built in an architectural style second only to the county courthouse. Now Eberly is working to save this home from being demolished.
It's a wooden refrigerator freezer unit, originally taken care of with blocks of ice, later retrofitted to deal with modern refrigeration. This is purely the idyllic image of the Hoosier Midwest. It's purely a sound facility, but yet here it sits, awaiting on a combination of miracles.
1853. The county home is particularly important to county historian Terre Wargo. Wargo's grandmother stayed there with her cousin.
It was nice because the transition, you could bring your own furniture and things like that, and her cousin, it was like an entire house in one room. She had her dresser there and her pictures and all kinds of knickknacks and things like that. My grandmother was the type, she never knew a stranger. So she got along really well out there. They have kept it up really well. They've put a lot of money into it in the past, but the trouble was that they just couldn't get a number of people out there to make it worthwhile.
We want to find someone, or if not, the fate of this facility becomes the fate of many other functionally obsolete things in the Midwest.
The Warren County home is just one of 8 homes Indiana Landmarks is trying to save, and the other county homes aren't in as good of shape. The Park County home in Rockville is privately owned, but neglect has made the house a remnant of its once grand neoclassical architecture, and the same fate could be in store for the other county homes. But not all the county homes are out of use. About 20 miles north of the Warren County home, Benton County still has a working home, and there are about a dozen of those in operation across the state. As county homes continue to be demolished or abandoned, Kleckner says fewer and fewer people realize they exist or what their purpose was.
They represent a part of the county's history, Indiana's history, that we often want to sort of gloss over. Most would consider the name Poor Asylum or Poor Farm to be something that we do not want to preserve, we do not want to remember. The facilities, simply by standing, still are that tangible link to a part of our history and our heritage.
The 8 county homes are new on the 2014 Top 10 Most Endangered list, and Indiana Landmarks is working to find the Warren County home a buyer. They're in talks with the group from St. Louis who could buy and repurpose the building, but for now the future of that and the other county homes is uncertain. More people are visiting Indiana state parks this year than in previous years. After the harsh winter, people have been heading outdoors to enjoy the beautiful summer weather. That's boosting state park revenue. Sales of one-day admissions and annual passes have brought in $4.8 million at the end of May. That's up from $4.4 million from the same time last year. State park officials say the improving economy is helping bring in more visitors, and Brown County State Park Manager Doug Baird says Hoosiers are becoming more aware of the amenities parks offer.
We've got some things that people are becoming more and more familiar with, like our mountain bike trails, for example. They were established in 2004 and been getting more and more popular as more people learn about them. People are coming from farther away.
State parks are also adding attractions to bring in visitors. Brown County State Park, for example, is establishing a wildflower meadow and building more cabins for overnight stays. That's all for this week. More news online at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters, with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Communications, serving southern Indiana with high-speed fiber gigabit internet. Smithville Fiber Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.